It was a warm summer night in Springfield, Missouri, June 6, 1992. Three women, 47-year-old Sherrill Levitt, her 19-year-old daughter, Suzie Streeter, and Suzie's best friend, 18-year-old Stacy McCall, vanished from their own home without a trace. No break-in, no signs of struggle, nothing but silence. The next morning, their cars were still in the driveway, their purses lined neatly on the counter, and their beds looked like they'd just been slept in, but the women gone. The case became known as the Springfield Three, and even after more than 30 years, it remains one of the most baffling missing person cases in American history. 3 lives erased in a single night. The night before the disappearance was meant to be a celebration. Suzie and Stacy had just graduated high school. They spent the evening at parties with friends, laughing, taking photos, making plans for the future. After midnight, they decided to stay the night at Suzie's house instead of a crowded hotel. They drove to Sherrill's home on East Delmar Street, a quiet, safe neighborhood where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. But by sunrise, something unimaginable had. The next morning, friends arrived to pick them up for a planned trip to a water park. They found the front door unlocked. Inside, the TV was still on, the porch light shattered. All 3 purses sat side by side in the living room, each with cash, credit cards, and cigarettes untouched. It was as if the women had just stepped out for a moment and never came back. What made it stranger were the small, eerie details. A friend, answering the house phone, heard a man's voice say something obscene before hanging up. The glass light cover on the porch was broken, as if someone had smashed it deliberately. Suzie's car keys and Sherrill's jewelry were left in plain sight, valuables no burglar would ignore. Yet nothing was stolen, no blood, no fingerprints, no forced entry. Whoever took the Springfield Three didn't break in. They were let in, or already inside. Police launched a massive search. Helicopters, cadaver dogs, volunteers combing through woods and fields. Every lead brought more questions. A tip claimed the women were buried under a hospital parking lot. Another said they were seen at a truck stop in Oklahoma. None were confirmed. Detectives interviewed ex-boyfriends, co-workers, even strangers who had attended the graduation parties, but there was no clear suspect, no motive, no clue. The media swarmed. For weeks, Springfield became a city on edge. Doors locked, lights left on, neighbors watching shadows move across their lawns. Then came one of the most haunting theories. A convicted kidnapper named Robert Craig Cox claimed he knew exactly what happened. In interviews from prison, he said the women were dead and that their bodies would never be found. He hinted at knowing where they were buried, but refused to say more, claiming the truth would come out only after his mother's death. Police investigated, but his story couldn't be verified, and without evidence, he couldn't be charged. Still, his words echoed through the years, feeding the legend of a crime too clean to be random. Some investigators believe the 3 women were victims of a targeted abduction. Perhaps someone followed them home from the party. Others think they were ambushed by someone they knew, a person who entered the house quietly in the early hours, maybe under a familiar voice. But there's another, darker theory, that the crime involved more than one perpetrator, that it was planned, and that the women's disappearance was a coordinated act that erased every trace of evidence. The timing, the neatness, the silence, all point to something far more sinister than a chance encounter. Years later, cadaver dogs once again drew attention to the same hospital parking lot, where an early tip had pointed. The area was scanned with ground-penetrating radar, revealing 3 anomalies, roughly human-sized, buried beneath the concrete. But authorities refused to dig, claiming it was too disruptive and expensive, and the lead faded once more into mystery. Some locals still believe the answers lie buried there, sealed under tons of cement and decades of secrets. As time passed, hope turned into obsession. The case inspired documentaries, podcasts, and countless online detectives trying to solve what the police could not. Yet, the story remains heartbreakingly simple. 3 women, 1 house, 1 night, and nothing left behind. Families were torn apart, friends aged without answers, and every new tip, every supposed breakthrough, only led back to the same chilling question. How do 3 people vanish from a suburban home without a single scream, without a single clue, and without anyone noticing? Today, the house on East Delmar Street still stands. To outsiders, it looks ordinary, just another home on a quiet road. But to those who know, it's something else entirely. A frozen moment in time. The last place 3 women were ever seen alive. The current residents say they still feel something there, a presence, a heaviness, as if the walls remember. Visitors claim lights flicker, doors creak, and sometimes a faint whisper can be heard in the empty hallway. More than 3 decades later, the Springfield Three have become symbols of the unsolved, a reminder that even in small towns, even in safe neighborhoods, darkness can arrive quietly and take everything. Theories will continue, clues may resurface, but until someone speaks or something is found, the truth remains buried, somewhere between memory and myth. 3 women, 1 night. No answers.